Hey guys, welcome back to Changing Lanes. It's Bailey bringing you another episode about, well, changing lanes. We've all been told life is a roller coaster filled with ups and downs, but I'm here to remind you that life is also like a 6-lane interstate in Chicago filled with traffic, chaotic and overwhelming. So today, I wanted to take us back to a time when I thought I would be stuck in that stop and go traffic forever. Back in 2021, I was a 20-year-old biochemistry major who was taking analytical and organic chemistry, my second semester of physics, and anatomy. By the end of September, I had dropped analytical chemistry, and by October, I had withdrawn from every class and lab except for anatomy. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life or my degree, but I had pieced together enough information to determine I was heading the wrong way. I spent hours researching jobs, other colleges, and majors while also talking to every person I could for help and advice on what I should do. Anytime that you find yourself panicking about the road that lies ahead, I encourage you to reach out to 2 types of people. 1, someone that can help support you emotionally, and 2, someone that can provide you with answers to your questions. That first person is possibly more important than the ones with answers because at the end of the day, you are more capable of finding the right path than you know, and often we cloud our own judgment by panicking. So find your person who can clear the cloud and take control of your future. Face your fears, big or small, and I promise you won't regret it. So when I started panicking about biochemistry, one of the first people I reached out to was my dad. He was, and still is, one of the people that can clear the clouds from my head and help me get back to reality. With that being said, I wanted to have him share his side of the story. So I gave him a call, and I'm going to play our conversation for you guys. Let's get into it. So, can you tell me about the day that I first called to tell you that I might be changing my major?
I believe that the tone in your voice was extremely upset, unsure of yourself, devastated, and not real confident about life. I was, shocked. I don't think I even had any idea that it was coming, but I instantly remembered how I felt back when I had a conversation to my mom that I wasn't going to be able to do that major anymore either. And my conversation was more that I was done with college altogether, and I was at least relieved that you weren't, just thrown in the towel. So, I think I was pretty calm and asked some questions, and, you told me what had happened and what led you to the decision, and that's what I recall.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely was at like a panicking and freaking out point whenever I ended up calling you, because I had sat with the idea for a couple of days before really reaching out to anyone.
Yeah.
But I think you were the first person that I really told about it.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I remember after we got off the phone or whatever, your mom called me later that day, and she was less than thrilled, and I had to talk her off the ledge too, so I got to have 2 conversations about it that day.
So throughout the whole process of dropping classes and figuring out what the heck I wanted to do with everything, did you ever feel helpless or just frustrated or anything like that?
I wasn't frustrated with you by no means. I felt helpless in the fact that I wished that I could do something, as a parent, you just wish that your child doesn't hurt, didn't have to go through adversity, challenges, but you can't do everything for them. They have to experience those things on their own, and that's how I learn. And I felt helpless because there wasn't anything I could do. I also, I wasn't frustrated at all, but I was concerned from a financial standpoint. I wasn't in a position to be able to pay for classes or your tuition if you were going to get charged that because you were dropping the classes like after a certain date and you were on scholarship, and like I didn't know what the financial impact was going to be, so I was more concerned about that and didn't share that I was concerned because you had enough on your plate.
What were your feelings when I told you that I was deciding for English as my major?
I didn't see that one coming. But honestly, I didn't understand why you were going for biochem either.
Yeah.
Neither major did I feel like you were you never really like exhibited signs that you were super stoked about writing or science. But I remember going to college and I was absolutely 100% going for accounting. Loved it in high school. That's what I wanted to be in life. And a year and a half later, I wasn't sure that accounting was for me. And 2.5 or 3 years later, I really wasn't sure accounting was for me. And it ended up, when I changed my major, it ended up not being for me. So like so many kids graduate high school and don't have a clue as to what they're doing and just figure it out. So many kids graduate and absolutely are positive what they're doing and completely change their life, whether it be their major or they don't go to college altogether, they drop out. So, who am I to say that English wasn't the choice that I think that you should do? Ultimately, it was your decision, and I was just there to support it.
Do you think that I'm happier in my major now than when I was a biochemistry major?
Certainly less stressed.
Yeah.
Maybe until this semester, but you've really demonstrated an enjoyment for the classes, your professors, and writing in general. And you also in sharing some of your writing work, I've seen how much you've evolved as a writer, going back to high school and even early on in college. I'm impressed, and I start to think, well, maybe this is what she was meant to do.
So looking back on the whole experience of changing my major and just kind of that whole fall, do you think that you personally would have done anything differently?
I just kind of think that I maybe could have been more involved, so that when you told me that you were changing your major, I would have been, yeah, I saw that one coming. And not blindsided. But it's difficult because I firmly believe in that I'm not going to be a helicopter parent, and that you have to make your own mistakes, your own choices, and that way you can feel better about your accomplishments, and you can learn from anything that doesn't work out. But the only thing that I wish is I would have been a little more involved and asked more questions of how are things really, and open-ended questions to get true responses, besides how are things going, and your response is good. And that may not totally be the case because I didn't pry.
Yeah. I think that one of the biggest things that affected my path in biochemistry was COVID, and I don't think any one of us could have seen that coming or really known how to handle it. So I think you're a little off the hook for that one. So how do you feel knowing that in a couple weeks I'll be graduating after everything that I've gone through in the past 2 years?
I'm going to be extremely happy for you. I'll probably be emotional because I know I've been there. I know how hard you've worked, all the sacrifices you've made, and what it means. You're going to be really focused on where you've been and what you've accomplished, and even more so being a product of a COVID degree.
Yeah.
you know, your idea of what college was going to be like got drastically changed, and you still managed to graduate with a degree and survive, and that says a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna be extremely ecstatic for you, and I'm gonna be emotional as well.
Okay, the last question I have is, do you have any words of advice for anyone who might be doubting the path that they chose to take in college?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest piece of advice is don't put so much pressure on yourself to declare a major. You know, your first couple years are mostly going to be general education requirements anyway, but really use that time to get a feel for what you enjoy. And it's okay to declare a major and have a goal at the start, but don't put so much pressure if you don't. And you'll find your path in life. As long as you keep your eyes open and your mind open, you'll find your path.
If you liked this episode of Changing Lanes, make sure to subscribe on Apple Music, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Thanks for listening, and talk to you next week.